everyone.
Yay!
We're live. We are live. Hello, YouTube world. I am Amanda Woodbury, aka the Mindful Crochet Coach. And I am here with Jessica Baehr. She is an author. I'm going to let her introduce herself here in just a second. I just want to just for a moment, just say, hey, hello, and thank you for joining. This is the first time I have ever gone live on my YouTube channel. And I believe this is the first time Jessica has also gone live on a YouTube channel. So this is going to be a hot mess. It's going to be fun. And we're going to talk about crochet patterns and book authoring, writing. And we're going to talk about the amazing book that she has just released and the pattern that is partnered with it. So, Jessica, who are you?
So my name is Jessica Baehr. However, as an author, I published under the name J.S. Baehr. Sounded nice. It flowed off the tongue. And I'm kind of used to pen names anyways, because I've also published under the pen name of Paula Jean Ferry. But those are typically more for my nonfiction, and J.S. Baehr is more for my fiction, just because that's what you do in the authoring world, so that people kind of know what to expect with different names and different genres. So I've published 4 nonfiction under the Paula Jean Ferry. This is my first attempt into the fiction world, and it's been an adventure, just like this live stream is.
I love that. I've been waiting up for a while for this book, and I'm going to just say that I have not actually read the book yet, because I am an avid reader. I am a romance novel reader. I have it downloaded in my Kindle Unlimited. So it is in my library. It is ready to go once I finish the book I'm currently reading, because I cannot stop in the middle of a book.
Which is fair, because it also only launched today. So
I know.
It's not like you've had a ton of chance to read it or anything yet. So
yeah, I'm a fast reader. Most novels take me about a day and a half to read. Of course, it's Kindle, so it's just really fast for me to go through it. Now, if it was paper book would probably take me twice as long.
3 days,
right? So tell us a little bit about the book and what you can totally, as much as you want, show the book. I will do my best to figure out how to link everything once the live stream is over. I don't know how to do any of that yet. So we'll figure it out. I don't know what we'll do. But anyway, so go ahead and tell us all about your book.
So I don't know if it shows right or backwards, but this is my book, my pretty beautiful book. It's called Madamn, Madamn, because it is about the first recorded case of Tourette syndrome. I myself have Tourette syndrome, was diagnosed my senior year of college. And so I wrote a senior research paper on Tourette syndrome, how it affects communication, which essentially did become my first book. But in that research, I was digging into the history of it, because rabbit holes, that's what you do when you're researching. And the first recorded case was in France in 1825, and she was only known in medical journals as Madamn. They knew she was a noblewoman. They thought she might have been a marquise, however you pronounce it, over in France, but they really didn't know anything about her. And so I'm like, well, that's dumb. She was kind of influential in this. If this is the first recorded case, this is probably kind of a big deal. So this was back in 2011, 2012. And I'm like, one day I'm going to write her story. So, we started writing and publishing other books. Like I said, that first paper on Tourette syndrome and how it affects communication essentially became my first book. From there, I got addicted, wrote 3 other nonfiction books. So I had a total of 4. And then in November of 2020, I randomly stumbled upon an article that said the mysterious Madamn identified at last. They found her name.
Oh,
They found her
wow.
name, and there was a 9-page PDF about who this woman was, who her family was. It actually included like a photo of her signature from the time that she was like learning to write, from like 7 or 8. Right? I'm just like, and it just fell into my lap. I'm like, well, I guess someday is now.
If that's not a sign from the universe that you need to write her story, like, I don't know what else is.
Right? Right. So I started diving in. That, again, keep in mind that was November of 2020 and it's now 2025. It took me a hot minute to figure out the shift from nonfiction to fiction. To be fair, I did also publish one of my nonfictions as I was starting this process, because I had published 3 books before. People were like, oh, help me write a book, help me publish my book. And I didn't want to be a coach because it was kind of taking away from this. So I wrote and published a book on self-publishing, said, here you go. This is what I want to work on. But it's obviously been a long time coming, and I'm very excited that it's finally done. I'm not even sure why it took so long, in all honesty, just because there was so much that I felt it just felt like she was whispering the story to me half the time. Like I felt like a ghost writer in both senses of the word. Yeah. I was writing for this ghost and writing this novel for her, type of a thing. So I don't know what took so long, but it did. But it's finally done. It's finally out. But in the process of doing this, I got a little obsessed with all things book related. I have always been obsessed with all things book related, but I felt like I needed a new hobby that wasn't book related.
Mm-hmm.
And so I connected with Amanda and started to pick up crocheting, and lo and behold, our crocheting took us to the book.
Somehow.
I spent a hot minute using like thread yarn and crocheting bookmarks, and there's a crochet pattern in my novel for a wrap that I do reference. I think it's during a trip to the opera where she grabs her lace blue wrap. So
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna put a pattern, it's got to be in there somewhere,
right? That totally makes sense.
So and I think you had mentioned it, in the pattern, I think I saw something where it was more of an Edwardian like pattern look more than Regency era, but I mean, I still, wraps were still a thing. So I just didn't describe it in detail. I just said her lace blue wrap.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because we're going to talk about rabbit holes. Well, so I'll just put, because I know this live stream is probably reaching people that have never even heard of us before. So hi, welcome to our world. So I am a certified crochet instructor that teaches people how to learn how to crochet for their mental health. I'm not a therapist in any way. I'm not professionally trained in life coaching or anything like that. I've just noticed that crocheting is something that can definitely help with calming and stress relief and nervous system regulation, and it helps a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people find crochet and want to crochet. And so I teach people how to crochet for that specific reason. So Jessica and I have actually known each other via Facebook for a while, and I don't remember whose circle we met in exactly, because we have quite a couple of crossovers, I believe.
Yeah, so, I think it was Beth, though. I think it was Beth.
I think so.
Hi, Beth.
No, yeah, hi, Beth. So we've just been, and so like I've been watching her, talk about the book, talk about Madamn, like as she was starting to write on it, and I thought it was really interesting in the beginning, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. And so I was really excited about it, but I kind of kept to myself about it. I didn't really like say or act, engage on her content other than likes, because I could be a shy person once in a while. So anyway, so she reached out to me for crochet lessons, as she mentioned. Went through the lessons. She did amazing. She's very talented crocheter. I'm just going to say that. She's one of the easiest students I have ever had. And I'm really excited about that. So during our lessons, conversations of the book and the progress kind of happened to come up, and thus started my rabbit hole. Now, I will say that I've always loved crochet history, yarn history. I've deep dived a couple of other times just because I get obsessed with things like that and I hyper focus sometimes. Thanks, ADHD. And it's just become one of those things that I will end up on a tangent if we start that conversation. So I kind of understood the history of it in the first place, but I wanted to deep dive a little bit more specifically for this book because she was talking about the time period where what was her name again?
So her name is Ernestine Emily Prandra de Guermont, but she's commonly called M. She had a brother named Ernestine. She went by M.
Gotcha. Okay, so because you were talking about like when she lived, where she lived, all that stuff, I decided to jump down my own rabbit hole. And I believe we were having like Facebook Messenger conversations while I was doing this. And I was like, oh my gosh, can you believe like this? If she lived in the Regency era, they didn't kind of really have crocheting, like some areas did, but it was kind of more knitting was more available. And it was actually more of like rural farmers basically making their own clothing. Like it was not widely known. And then it wasn't until the Victorian and Edwardian era where it actually started picking up more crochet. So then I was like, oh my gosh, what if, like I know it's not in the Regency era, but what if, because we know women did women work in the house. They had activities to keep them busy, especially in her status. In her life. So they did a lot of cross stitching and a lot of thread work and stuff like that. And so crocheting did end up as one of those activities. And so we're like, okay, what if there was a crochet shawl? Because we know they wear shawls in that era. They didn't have winter jackets. So I started searching and I found out what type of yarn that her class status would have used. FYI, it's a wool and silk blend or cotton and silk blend, by the way. And come to find out, they didn't have thick, nice, luscious yarn like we do now. Oh no, they had lace weight yarn. And if you are a crocheter and you know what that is, you know how we feel about it. If you have never crocheted or played with yarn before, let me show you. This is like an acrylic yarn, easy to come by. And it's a little bit thicker. It's easier to crochet with. But they were working on knitting and starting to be crochet. They worked with stuff that is called lace weight. We're talking thin. Look how thin that is. It's basically string. So yeah, kudos to all of the people who back in then times and now who love lace work. You're awesome. I love that you can work with that. It is not my favorite. So anyway, so we ended up like coming up with this idea of what if we came up with a Regency era inspired crochet pattern, even though crochet wasn't widely happening in the Regency era. So we had to jump a couple of eras and I did my research, found a design that I could use as a pattern designer. I don't want to copy anybody else, even though there was not very much variation available then. So we had to keep it simple. So with that, I did talk to Jessica into let's make a wrap together. Let's write a pattern for your character here for this wonderful, amazing lady. And so that's kind of how it began. Both of us going down rabbit holes.
Yay for rabbit holes.
Yay.
Because I don't know if, like, I don't know how much you know about Tourette syndrome, but a common diagnosis is ADHD. Like there's a lot of overlap, as well as OCD. Some doctors will put it on the autism spectrum. Anyways, my brain absolutely has a little bit of that perfectionist in me, as well as the shiny. Let's learn a new hobby. Oh wait, let's circle back to the original hobby. And like telling my mom that I wanted to get into crocheting, she's like, what was it that my mom's grandma used to do something when she was a kid? Oh, it was tatting. And now all of a sudden I'm like, maybe I want to learn tatting.
Yeah. I know what tatting is, but I have no desire to learn tatting or lace work. Oh my gosh. Like Ireland, you are amazing. Irish lace work, Irish crochet, like I'm jealous. Like I love it. It is gorgeous, but I do not have the patience to learn that. It is so intricate, and it's just, if you ever want to go down a rabbit hole, go look up Irish crochet and Irish tatting, and it's just an Irish lace work. It is beyond gorgeous. So much work, so much. Wow, it's awesome. So then we decided somehow at some point to combine our crafts.
So reminder, cute little book, recently published, but back here in like the very back, I'm starting from the very, very back. I'm not going to try not to show you too much. Don't want to give too much of it away. We've got the wrap pattern, like the full crochet pattern in the back of the book. Hopefully that didn't, fully expose all of this.
That's okay. They'll see it. They'll get their own copy and they'll see it.
Buy the book, or you can buy the pattern from Amanda directly.
Yes. If you want to crochet an Edwardian style Regency Era inspired wrap, that's how, I don't know how else to explain this thing.
Right.
It is the pattern is available on Ravelry. That is the only place it's available currently. I just launched the pattern yesterday, and it is actually only available for $1 right now.
Ooh.
$1 US dollar, to get a copy, a PDF downloadable copy of just the pattern if you want. And then what I plan on doing, just FYI, because I'm a Kindle reader, I may have learned how to crochet and read at the same time, because ADHD can multitask like nobody's business, right? I don't do either fastly by any means, but I have taught myself to crochet while reading. Now, it can't be a complicated pattern to do that. And
my goal is to make it into an audiobook specifically for that reason. Like, if you're going to have a crochet pattern, like, you really should have some kind of audio version of the book. So I haven't ever done an audiobook, so this is a whole new type of rabbit hole for me, and I wanted to make sure I just like got this out first before I got fully distracted. So I had to put some serious blinders on just to finish this book. But I do want to get to the point where it is an audiobook, so that you can crochet
and listen to a story at the same time and have something tangible alongside your book. And then those of you who love hard copy or physical versions of the book, she's got bookmarks as well that match the book. And I am like, yes, please. I want a bookmark, even if I won't have a physical copy of the book, but I still want one, because I love the quote you put on it, because it means so much and it is such a truth. What is that quote?
It is not selfish to love yourself.
I love it. Yes, it is not selfish to love yourself. You have to put yourself first before you can help others or be there for others. I mean, in the mainstream of mindset work, we're told all the time that you can't pour from an empty cup. And it is absolutely the truth. This is one of the reasons why I do teach crochet, for that reason, for something you can fill your cup. Oh, I love that bookmark. It is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is her actual castle. Like, I mean, this is a real woman. This is the actual castle that she lived in, and that's her actual, like, family crest.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
That's
I'm
amazing.
a fan.
So one of the things that I had so much fun with you, with designing this pattern and working with the pattern through with you, because again, you were a beginner, like a legit beginner when I decided to do this pattern with you. And I wanted to make this pattern because it was so connected to this book. I wanted to make sure that it was authentic for what was available in her time. So that's why we picked the lace weight yarn. That's why we picked it in the material, the fibers, the wool silk blends. That's why we also, in a crochet pattern, you don't always share the color options. We chose colors that match the book cover.
Can we show it?
Yes, you can show your wrap, because I cannot believe
So
I made your wrap.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. It's so gorgeous.
So
it turned out amazing.
And then like we mentioned, you know, it kind of matches sorry, we're getting the ring light in here. The bookmark and the wrap all kind of tie together.
I'm going to need you to set up a picture with all three of those together.
I do.
Seriously.
I absolutely need to.
Because here's the funny thing. Okay, I might be the pattern author, but here's how much I did not enjoy working with Reiki. No, I'm going to say though, like, I'm going to give out a shout out to Knit Picks. I used Knit Picks Gloss Weight, lace weight yarn, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's
so soft.
It is so soft, and it actually is not hard to work with. It doesn't tangle, it doesn't split, and we use a 4mm crochet hook. This one is a Clover Amour hook. I love these hooks too, by the way. Totally recommend them. So it doesn't catch on the yarn. I had so much fun. However, I'm not a lace weight designer fan. This is how far I got on my wrap. I basically got as far as necessary to get all the important measurements.
I finished 2. I have this one. I did one in like all white cream that I ended up giving to my boss because she's always cold. So I did 2. I'm currently actually working on my 3rd one, because as much as I love that these tie in with the book cover, they weren't the colors that I wanted. I wanted teal. Teal is one of my colors. It's the Tourette syndrome awareness color. Like teal, and that's just my color, with a silver trim. And I think it's actually a different material, but it came from Knit Picks as well. I don't remember what I got, but it's teal and silver this time, and that one's going to be mine. And this one will probably be with some kind of like giveaway promotion that I'm going to run. So
I love that. We're gonna need pictures of that shawl, because of that wrap, because it's gorgeous. You did amazing. So here, some of the pattern information is for those of you who are crocheters that might be watching this and are familiar with crochet terms and all that. So this pattern is actually listed as a skill level in 2 ways, because here was the tricky part for me as a designer. So in crochet patterns, we all know that it's very helpful when the author lets us know what skill level or experience level we need to be comfortable in order to complete said pattern. There's a whole thing. Maybe I'll do a YouTube on it. I don't know. Maybe that's some content I can put out later. So this pattern, it depends on the yarn that you use, changes its skill level. And I had to do some research to make sure that that was actually correct because I didn't want to just randomly throw information out. So when you use the lace weight, it is technically considered intermediate because of that specific yarn weight. However, you can also make this wrap in a weight 3 yarn, which is a little bit thicker. I don't think I have one with me here, but it's a little bit thicker than the lace weight, but it's not as thick as like an acrylic yarn. There's lots of DK. You can also use a DK weight. It's still thin enough because we wanted this to be light and lacy, and because that's the era that it's inspired from. And so when you do it with the lace weight, it actually becomes an easy level pattern because of that thicker yarn. So, which I found was really interesting because I'm like, there's a whole conversation and a rabbit hole we could go down about the industry and labeling skill levels on what kinds of patterns there are, because there are 4 skill levels. And so I was actually really nervous designing this because I wanted Jessica to work on it. And so knowing her skill level, where she was at the end of her crochet journey, learning journey. Of course, you never stop learning crochet because there's always new things coming out. But
the course that I took with you.
The course, yes. the coaching program that you were involved in.
Yes.
So yeah, like I wanted to make sure that the pattern itself was easy enough that she can do it. But then she shocked me when she went with the lace weight. And I'm like, are you sure? And I was like, maybe we should start with the DK. And you were like, no, let's do this. If we're going to do it, let's do it. And I'm like, all right, fine. So we bought yarn together, which that was a fun evening. Hey, guess what I bought? Oh no, hey honey, I'm sorry. No, there was no sorry about it.
I also tend to be just a little impulsive. Oh, we're doing it? Purchase. Yeah.
Us together doing impulsive things. It happens.
Is that a good idea for a bad influence?
So share with me and the world, how was your experience going from taking the course and finishing it and then going directly into a project with this thin yarn? Because that I never include lace weight in my courses. Like, we're using the thicker yarns because it's easier to learn with. So I want to know, like, how was your transition? Like, how was the experience for you?
So that wasn't exactly how my journey went. Because as I mentioned, all of my hobbies always circle back to books. It's kind of an obsessive problem. I own over 1,200 physical books, you guys. Like, it is a serious problem for my wallet. And now I've got a yarn addiction to boot. So, it's fine.
Sorry, not sorry.
But what I did, in this learning, we started out with like these washcloths. And then I did one that was, just a little sample. Or maybe I ran out of yarn. I don't know. But it ended up like the shape of a bookmark. And I went, oh, I can make myself a bookmark. And so I, made another one. And I'm like, this is actually kind of pretty. This is actually kind of cool. And I put it on social media like, look, I made a bookmark. And they're like, well, but that's kind of a terrible idea for a book because it's just so thick and so bulky that you can't, like, it's going to hurt the book. Because, books have feelings. They're sentient, apparently. But, they can't lay flat. So I'm like, okay. So you're telling me I need a thinner yarn. Okay. So I just went and I actually bought like thread yarn. And I was experimenting with different hook sizes. I think at one point I even got down to like a 1 millimeter hook with this thread yarn. So jumping up to lace weight after that was fine. That's where my hands started cramping. I'm using, thread with a 1 millimeter hook and getting hand cramps. So going up to a lace weight, like, wow, this is a little bit thicker. This is actually a little bit easier. So it's all a perspective thing.
That makes sense.
Yes. That's what I did. It was fine. That's why I was like, yeah, let's just go with the lace weight. We're good.
Right? Yeah, that see what's funny is like, and I've done some thread work. Like I've done doilies with the thread stuff, you know, and used those super thin, those steel hooks. But those are like few and far between, because I've learned what my happy place is, like what's best for me. And so I am actually getting a little frustrated with myself, because I did enjoy working on this wrap, and I will finish my wrap someday. It is in my whip pile. That is the to be finished someday pile. Of course, if you're a crocheter, you know what we mean. We have multiple reasons of whip piles, right? We have the ones that we are literally working on it right now, has a deadline. We have to get it done soon. Then we have we'll work on it at some point, but we don't want to get rid of it. And then we have or at least this is how my piles are. And then I have I don't even want to think about this whip anymore. I'm done, but I don't want to frog it. And then I have the last pile that has, I hate this project and I will rip it out. I just don't want to do it right this second, because then I'll reuse the yarn and create a new whip, which starts the whole cycle over again. So
which honestly like kind of blows my mind, because like, yes, I have this ADHD thing and my brain is always going like a million, like even jumping on this call, poor Amanda, she put up with a lot with me trying to like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, she had to remind me that I even needed to grab the wrap and, oh yeah, maybe grab your book. Like, oh yeah, that's kind of helpful. But despite that, I always only have one work in progress, but I have it in multiple things. So I'm working on one book at a time. When I can't work on the book, I'm going to work on my crochet. When I'm not working on my crochet, I'm going to work on, learning padding or a research rabbit hole, or, like those are my different work in progress piles. So I can only allow myself one thing per category. Otherwise,
that makes sense.
Nothing would ever get done. So
it's with my ADHD, like I have the classic symptoms, right? Like, of course, when I was originally diagnosed, it was back when I was 12, and they actually it was in the 90s, and they diagnosed it just ADD, right? Because I wasn't a boy and I wasn't hyper. So apparently it was just ADD. But anyway, I've since done my own research, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got the hyperactive in there. So for me, I have to be very, very strict on what projects I'm working with. Like right now, I am actually preparing for a craft fair. So all of my projects that are on my desk, I'm not going to admit how many I have. They're all meant for the craft fair, and I have a deadline. And so I have to, in order to satisfy the ADHD-ness of multitasking, I am only allowing so many projects in my vicinity. And then I have to work, like I'll say like, okay, so this dishcloth, I'm only going to work on for like an hour, and then I'm going to put it away. And then if I feel like when the hour is up, then I'm like, okay, I'm good. I feel satisfied. Or I'm like, no, I'm good. I want to continue to work on this, and then I'll finish it up. And then, yeah, of course, with procrastination being one of those symptoms, the week before is insane, because then I'm like tying in ends. I'm doing last minute sewing things. It's ridiculous. I don't know why I do this to myself every time. And I always give myself like 3 months in advance when I sign up for a craft fair. So it's like, there's no excuse. I have plenty of time to create inventory. But do I wait till the last week? Yeah. I mean, not legitimately. So the last few days, I'm usually procrastinating. So that's what happened with this wrap, is it became tedious for my brain because it's so small, right? And so it's like, I'll get like maybe 2 rows in, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this. This is taking too long. My ADHD is like, no, this is not a quick project. So I don't know when it will be done. But it
So
will.
The reason that I got through mine super quick, maybe this will help, maybe it won't, because my brain has to do multiple things at a time, and because it is a very simple pattern. I mean, it's basically the same thing over and over and over. My husband is a movie buff, so we would sit and watch movies while I'm crocheting. That's actually probably the only time that I actually crochet, is when we're watching something, because then I need to be working on my other, like I said, projects that I'm writing and publishing and promotion and whatever else I'm doing. So I pretty much mostly and that's why I was able to get through it so fast, is because my husband and I do watch a lot of movies, because we do enjoy that experience a lot together. But that way my brain is still fully engaged, because I don't necessarily have to just focus on just the crochet, because there's a movie going on.
Right. That makes so much sense. Like there's been, yeah, like I totally feel that. Like there are times when the husband wants to sit there and watch things together, and so I'll be like, hey, I'm going to crochet while we do it, or we'll just sit, and like he listens to audiobooks loud. He does not wear earbuds at home. The books that we listen to are completely different genres, so I'm just like, but I'll just crochet at the same time. But yeah, then like other times I'm just like, I'm here in my office because it's like work things and work related projects. I definitely have because I run a crochet business, I've learned this is my work projects. These are business related projects, custom orders, craft fair, pattern writing, designing something. And then I have my actual hobby projects, because crochet started as a hobby for me, and it just it snowballed. But anyway, so this is definite. So I still have projects that I love to make for me, and because owning a business as neurodivergent, it's stressful, it's hard, it's overwhelming. And so I also do have to use my craft for the same thing as for, preventing burnout, or working through overwhelm, or giving a moment to stop and pause and do something else so that I can work through whatever it is in my brain that's, being an issue with the business. And there's all these things that go beyond. And so for me, it's like a double-edged hobby for me. So it's like, it's really fun. Do you have, is that how writing can be sometimes for you? Or is it reading is the hobby, writing is the business?
I mean, so there's it's multifaceted. I am a huge reader, always have been. I was the kid that in middle school was grounded from books for an entire summer because my parents were concerned.
Oh, that's so sad.
mean, to be fair, like that was actually a very smart decision, because once they started like using punishments like that, I never like, do not take away my books. I will not risk that. But like when I was in middle school, Harry Potter didn't exist, but Harry Potter's kind of like a better known, like, so you have a visual. I essentially read the Harry Potter series in 2 months while I was still in school.
Wow.
And my parents were like, are you sleeping? And I said, enough. Like, it's fine. They're like, no, that was your reading list for the summer. Like, that's an entire summer's worth of reading. You're done. And I went, oh, okay. So I've always been that kid. Like, I do thoroughly enjoy that. And I always am reading like 3 to 5 books at a time, because I have, one on my Kindle, one by my bed at night to help me fall asleep. It's usually a nonfiction, because that way I'm not like emotionally involved and invested and stay up until 2 a.m. But I need my fun books as well. There's the ones that I have to do for research. So, but that's kind of its own entity as well. I've been journaling since I was 8 years old. So journaling is the brain dump. That's the therapy. That's you know, there's no pressure attached to it because nobody's ever going to read this until I'm dead, if they're even still around or want to go through lots of journals. When my husband and I met, I think I was journaling on average about 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning and an hour at night.
Wow.
Yeah. I was working part-time as an elementary school librarian, doing a little bit of like waitressing during the summer. But you know, always just kind of part-time. So I had that time flexibility where I was journaling a ton. I was still able to get writing. And at that point, it was mostly research. Writing and like having something specific, I don't know, it happens quickly, but it also takes forever to happen. So, you know, I go long bouts in between, because in between there's also the research aspect, which is fun, and also rabbit holes and dangerous. There's so many like fun rabbit holes that I went down. So, okay, just as an example, this book takes place about 1817-ish, right? So Jane Austen era. But it's in France. And if you think about France, they had recently gone through the French Revolution. That was 1793. And she was born in 1800. By our calendar, because guess what? After the French Revolution, the French tossed out everything.
Wow.
They had a new calendar. They started using the metric system. They were the first to use the metric system. No one else in the world was using that.
Wow.
Like, they started from scratch.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, fun fact. And I do have a little bit in there. Like, you know, someone mentions how the walls are 6 feet thick, and they're like, 6 feet? What's that? Oh, that's right. You use that metric system. Let me see if I can remember the translation from when I was there. It's about this many meters, because I don't know metric. I looked it up. It's accurate in the book. I don't remember. And they're like, are you sure? That's thicker than a man is tall. And you're like, yes, that's the translation. Like,
wow.
Because, and that was when she was in Switzerland. She had a period where she was in Switzerland. It's like, next door neighbors. Swiss speaks a lot of French, but they didn't toss out the calendar, and they didn't toss out their measuring system. They didn't toss, you know, the Swiss Confederation, I think it was actually called at the time period. That's another thing. It wasn't called Switzerland. It was the Swiss Confederation.
That's I am a history person. Like, if I'm not reading or crocheting, okay, probably always crocheting, but I'm usually watching true crime. And when it gets too dark and I need to stop watching true crime, then I watch history documentaries. And I love history. So this is like, I'm so
this
excited.
book is going to scratch so many itches for you.
Oh,
it's
yes.
So
I'm going to be deep diving.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I was actually just literally having a thought process of like, so if her life was happening in France in 1817, what was America up to? Like, what was our lifestyle? Like, what age, you know, were we at? Like, obviously, like, I know American history, like.
Right. It was right after the War of 1812.
Right. Like, I know some things.
Right.
But, you know, I'm like, I really love that world comparison. Like, where were people? Like, how were their lives? How different were their lives? Like, what was happening? Like, how countries were developing in that same time period. So now I'm just like, I'm going to have to Google 1817, the world, like what was happening in the world.
So another rabbit hole that I went down, and I only used one example, even though I had probably 4 or 5 pages, multiple columns. I wanted to know who else of note was during, okay, so first of all, she was born in 1800. She died in 1884. She lived 84 years, which during the 1800s is kind of awesome and rare, right? She had this long, full life. She lived through 7 different forms of government because France post-revolution. You know, but I also wanted to like look at contemporaries that she had during that span, and the amount of people, like I said, there were at least 2 columns on 4 or 5 pages that I'm just like, wow, she lived at the same time as all of these people. And I didn't want to get too much into like all of that. I had to narrow it down. So I only chose one. But the one I think was my favorite because she had Tourette syndrome. We didn't know what Tourette syndrome was, right? So they thought that she was probably just possessed. That's a common thought. You know, there are theories that during the Salem witch trials, at least one of those people probably just had Tourette syndrome. It's not that it was new. It's that it was always just explained away by witchcraft, by bad manners and bad breeding, which she didn't have any of that. And that's why they started to take it seriously. She's the reason we have a diagnosis because they took it seriously because of her.
Which that in itself is amazing and incredible and sad at the same time.
Right. Like all of these centuries of, anyways, circling back, one of her contemporaries was Niccolo Paganini. I also grew up playing the violin, right? So I'm a violinist. I know Paganini. Never could attempt any of his music, but I know who he is and love listening to his pieces, right? He was referred to as the devil's violinist.
Ooh.
Because it was unnatural how good he was, right? So you have the devil's violinist and you have this possessed woman. Like, can you just imagine? You don't have to imagine. I put it in a book.
I'm going to be reading it in a day or two. Probably tomorrow. I'll probably start it tomorrow.
Paganini is probably one of my favorite characters. I had so much fun writing him because he was just all over the board. I mean, he was a flirt, a rake, a scoundrel, but also he was Italian, so he was engaging and fun to be around. Like, oh, he's just fun. I loved writing Paganini.
So we've been talking for like, I think probably about an hour or so. So we should probably close up a little bit. So tell me, what is your one, now this is going to be hard for you, your one favorite quote? And not the selfish, it's not selfish to love yourself. You can't use that one. What other one favorite quote from Madamn do you want to share with the world?
Can I cheat? I actually had like 25 quotes that I put on like Canva graphics and shared like one per day leading up to the launch. So let me pull up my Canva really quick and look through those and go, which one? Because if I'm only choosing one, I know, to like...
I mean that way.
I think the other hard part about choosing just one is I put so much of myself in this book. I mean, me also having Tourette syndrome, I was able to describe the tics in some detail. You know, there is stuff in the book that I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, there's conflicting ideas. Like, I'm not going to say where my ideas are in all of this. You sure I can't do a top 3?
Okay, fine, top 3.
Yes. Okay, that'll be so much faster. That's the thing. It'll be faster if you let me do 3.
Okay, fine.
So one of them I loved so much, I actually put it on the book cover. And it's, I may not be possessed, but I certainly am cursed. And I love that because that there's so many times where you just feel like, you know what? I don't know. There's just something so heart-wrenching about that. That I mean, like I said, I loved it so much I had to put it on the cover. This is one that I will tell you I absolutely agree with. I had a friend tell me this back in like 2016, 2017, and it has literally echoed in my brain almost constantly since. You know, different times where I've agreed with it, disagreed with it, seen it in practice, seen the opposite. Also, fun fact said by Paganini, they are not the same, you know, theory and practice. Only time will tell if their experiment will work. because my friend's quote was, in theory and practice are the same. In practice, they're not. And so I love that I was able to put that in, because like I said, it's been echoing my brain for almost a decade, almost constantly. So I really, really loved that one. One more. This one I really like because it's a good reminder for me. Fear is a terrible liar.
I love that. I read that one for sure.
Yeah. I am the world's biggest chicken a lot of times. If I get self-conscious, I have this perfectionist OCD side of things. And so there's a lot of times where I'm just paralyzed by fear, but fear lies. You know, that's not necessarily how things are going to be. So I think I like that one just because that's a good reminder for me.
I think I might need to write that down on a Post-it note and put it on my computer screen, because fear holds me back so bad in business. Like I've been in business. I've been doing mindset crochet coaching for gosh, almost 10 years. You know, and so it's like I should be a lot further ahead in my career than I am, right? But fear, you know, it's played into my self-doubt, it's played into my comparisоnism, it's played into imposter syndrome. It's played, like, that's why I'm only up to 31 patterns that are published. Today is number 31. I'm really excited about it. It is we have titled it the Moonlit Manor Regency Wrap. I did have to take the name Madamn out of the title because Ravelry said the title was too long. So I did have to adjust the title a little bit. But if you click on, there'll be a link that I'm going to put in the description. When you click on it, you'll be able to see all the information in there about the pattern. It is not, I just want to throw this out there. It is not a beginner level pattern. Could a beginner do it? Yes. That is called beginner friendly. So if you are a new crocheter and you see something labeled beginner friendly, it just means that it's not for absolute beginners, but a beginner could possibly do it. So this is meant for mostly for easy level crocheters and above. So if you want to give it a try, it is on launch day. It is only $1 for the pattern right now. That sale does end here in tomorrow evening. I'm only leaving it for $1 for 24 hours because this is a business. I do not do free patterns. I'm probably going to get some backlash, but that's okay. So with that, I just want to close out. I'm so thrilled that you wrote this story, and I cannot wait to dig into it. And I feel that this is a story that needed to be told. It's, you know, the first case of something, right? Like, it's always so super interesting, and it's history, and it's real life history. Like, this IRL happened, you know? So like, that's why I'm really excited to read it too. And yeah, so I really hope that people check out your book. Again, I'm going to drop the link to it here in the description as well. Hopefully this has actually been going live the entire time. I'm really nervous about it because I did not record it either. So hopefully we didn't like lose everything. So we'll see. So again, I want to say thank you so much, Jessica, for working on this book and telling this story and getting it out there. And I'm really super excited for you and allowing me to participate in writing a crochet pattern, because this was also a really, really neat experience for me. It's the first time I've collaborated in this manner. It's been a pleasure writing the crochet pattern.
It's been so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
I will share the finished wrap with you. It might be a few years from now. at this rate. But those of you who are watching on this channel, this is a channel that is new. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I will be putting out more stuff here soon, and I'll be talking more about mindset and crochet together. And again, thank you for watching live. And I will, if you've left a comment or anything like that, I will catch up with you guys later. And again, just thank you to everyone. And thank you, Jessica. And we will talk to you all later. Okay, I think it stopped streaming.